Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 104 in the book of Genesis. Today is going to be about resurrection caliber faith. So yesterday we talked about Abraham's faith with regards to the potential sacrifice of his own son. And Abraham he was first in faith, and specifically first in resurrection faith. We're going to read the story today from Genesis chapter 22. So open up your Bibles there. So Abraham was first in faith, specifically in a resurrection powered faith. So Hebrews chapter 11 says that Abraham considered that God was able to raise Isaac from the dead. And of note, now we are Abraham's children of faith. And in this family of faith, we do what? We demonstrate the same kind of faith. Now, demonstrate in the object of our faith, the person of God. So the first thing is we point right to God. Secondly is the power of God, the capabilities of God. By believing in this, we say he is able to resurrect people from the dead. So like Abraham, our faith is kind of tested as we do the story. It was practically tested with him and a knife in his hand. And by our appreciating the story, our faith is also tested. So do I believe the same things as Abraham, that God is able to raise Isaac from the dead? Now, as we read here in Genesis chapter 22, watch for this in verse 5, because that's where that faith is expressed. This is Genesis chapter 22. After these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, here I am. He said, take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took two of his young men with him and his son Isaac. And he cut wood for the burnt offering and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. On the third day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place from afar. Then Abraham said to his young men, here's the statement of faith, stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there and worship and come again to you. So both of us are coming back. Verse 6, and Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son. And he took his hand, the fire and the knife. So they went both of them together. And Isaac said to his father Abraham, my father? And he said, here I am, my son. He said, behold, the fire and the wood, but where's the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. So they went, both of them together. When they had came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham built the altar, and there laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. And Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to slaughter his son. But, verse 11, but the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, again, same response, here I am. He said, do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything for him, for now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. And Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was a ram, caught in a thicket by its thorns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called the name of the place, the Lord will provide. As it is said to this day, on the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. And the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, by myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this and not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you and will surely multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven and the sand that is on the seashore. And your offspring shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in your offspring shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you obeyed my voice. So we get a blessing here at the end. So this is a testing of Abraham, and in a sense is a testing of us. The Lord is testing the commitment level of Abraham. And a testing is an opportunity to succeed. where God is inside this event. The temptation is where kind of God is outside the event. So God in the testing, God is inside the event, and it's supposed to result in a personal strengthening of his character and a relationship with God that is enhanced. So in conclusion, as we read the story, the question that lands on us today is, do I have this kind of faith? Specifically, do I have a resurrection caliber faith? Now, we have the same object of faith, which is the object being the person of God, and then the characteristics or the empowerment of God. Does God have the power to resurrect people? And it's an important question because it's important here with Isaac, and it's going to be important with Jesus, and then our faith in Jesus that we depend on the last day of our life. So it's a challenge to read this story. So the bottom line is we are supposed to be like Abraham. Let's believe what he believed, that God is able to raise from the dead. Why is this important today? Because our eternal lives depend on it. Thanks for listening.